in industries, in food industries. First of all, what is the food safety actually? Food safety is basically the it's a set of practices and a kind of patterns that we follow in order to prevent the contamination in your foods. For example, you have your end product is a bakery product, and different kind of ingredients will be used in making that bakery product. For example, it's a cake, and in cake you are going to use eggs, milk, flour, and so many other things like the additives. If any of them is contaminated, your end product will be spoiled or contaminated. Its shelf life will be reduced, and your customer or your guest, whatever you call it, your consumer's health might be affected by your unsafe food. Okay, where we have to observe the safety, at what steps? Those steps might include the handling while you are handling the raw material of your end product, while you are preparing your final product. For example, the steps you are following during your preparation. For example, you are baking a cake. During this baking, you might whisking the eggs, and you are using different kind of utensils while whisking the eggs. You are beating them. A beater is being used, a bowl is being used, and you are handling them. Means a handler is handling them, and your hands are coming in contact with all that, and your work surface is coming in contact of all that. If any of them is contaminated, your end product will be contaminated. Though it is not that harmful, because finally when your batter, the cake's batter will be baked, all of your microorganism might be killed. But if any broken pieces of glass is being incorporated into your batter, and that is also baked along your cake, that broken piece might cut the tongue or any other kind of harm could could cause to your consumer or your client. So that's why your food safety is quite important, and it is a complete process, and you have to follow throughout the whole picture of your final product's preparation. Whatever your produce is, you have to follow throughout your production. For example, handling, preparation, storage, and serving of food in way that prevents foodborne illnesses. Means your oh, am I audible? Excuse me. Okay. I cannot evaluate whenever my mic was muted. Okay. What I was talking about, that a food safety practices you have to follow throughout the production of your final product. For example, during handling the raw material, during all the preparatory steps, during storage, and during finally serving your product. Your final product, for example, that might be a cake, pastry, or pizza, or anything like that. Or even it might be an industrial product, for example, a bread, or any other, a jam. or any kind of extruded product, for example, the snacks, lace, biscuits, or anything like that. In order to make your final product safe and healthy, you have to follow some steps, some protocols and SOPs, so that your final product could not be contaminated. So food safety practices ranges from handling, preparation, storage, and serving, and its final outcome is to prevent your food from illnesses, means to make your food safe enough that it could not cause any illness or harm to your final consumer. This includes a number of routines. I just said a number of protocols and practices that should be followed to avoid the potentially severe health hazards. What could be the health hazards? For example, it could cause any kind of physical injury. For example, the glass might cut your tongue, and if there is any microorganism like Salmonella, E. coli, a Campylobacter, that might cause you any kind of food poisoning, right? Please move the slide. Okay, here is the question that why we study actually the food safety. The first is telling the cause is to maintain the guest safety. Who's guest actually? In the catering industry, like the restaurants or hotels or motels, we called our consumer as a guest, right? Out of courtesy, or to be more polite, we call them our guest. Our guests are basically our consumers, right? Our customers. And first of all, we want to ensure the safety of our guest, our consumer, our final user. And the second reason is to avoid the loss of business. Why your business will be lost by not following the food safety practices? It will be lost because if you're not following the food safety practices, the contaminants might be incorporated into your food or your final product that might spoil your final product. So of course, if your final product has not enough shelf life, that will be spoiled before it's being consumed. That will cause you a financial risk. And the other thing is, in case that product is being consumed by your consumer and it cause any risk or threat or harm to your consumer, then also your business reputation will be harmed. And then the third reason is to avoid the lawsuits. Why you have to face the lawsuits? Lawsuits means any kind of legislative suits that you have to face owing to your non-compliance with the safety standards. Might be possible that some food inspector is inspecting your workplace and he finds that your workplace is not following the legislative course of conduct that you are supposed to follow by your government. So even if it is not safe, then also it may cause any health injury to your consumer or your guest. That also might lead you to face some criminal charges. Am I not audible? Am I not audible?
No, ma'am, you are audible.
Okay. Somebody is saying that I'm not audible. Okay, fine. Okay, the fourth one is to maintain the guest trust. If your food is safe enough and it is not causing any harm to your guest health, and it is also maintaining its quality. Quality is the secondary step. First of all, you have to maintain the safety. If you are maintaining the safety only, then you can maintain your quality also of your product. So if you are maintaining your quality, So your guest or your consumer will trust you. If he's your trust, if he's trusting you, it means that he will be your loyal customer or your loyal guest, and he will always buy or purchase your product, and he's a constant source of your sales, right? So a loyal guest or your loyal customer is the basic need of your business. To maintain the quality standards, okay, to fulfill different legislative requirements, different market requirements, and to get uh, access to different suppliers and to different supplying markets. It is the requirement that you should have some kind of certifications. What kind of certification? Quality standard certifications like the ISO 22000 or ISO 9000, like FSSC 22000 or 9000, and so on. So when you follow all those steps, because these are the prerequisite steps to implement all other safety standards and quality standards, then you also get the chance to enter in those international markets where all those standards are required. Next slide, please. Okay. The reason of food safety is just to avoid the food contamination. Then what is actually the food contamination is? Food contamination basically refers to the food that spoil or tainted. Tainted mean also spoiled, because of they are either containing microorganisms, bacteria, parasites, or any other external material, for example, any kind of physical hazard or chemicals like pesticides, sanitizer residues, or, or any other harmful additives that might risk your consumer's health. Next, please. Next slide, please. Okay. Now we are talking about contaminants. What kind of contaminants might be possibly be incorporated into your food chain or in your production line? These are the physical, chemicals, biological, and the microbiological hazards. Biological or microbiological contaminants are basically the same things. Next, please. Okay. Now we will discuss what kind of physical hazards might be present in your production area, or in your supply chain, or in your logistics, while you are procuring, what kind of hazard you might have to face. When we talk about the physical hazard might include the buttons. Whose button will be that? Of course, the handler's button or the worker's button if they are loosened. And the second thing is the nails or the screws. Those nails might be the human nails, and the other nails might be, or the screws might be from the part of your machinery, or the equipments, or the logistics, whose part your product or raw material have been. Pins and other your hairs, if you are not properly covering your hairs with hair nets, and those hairs might not be from your head, that might be from your arms, from your beard, or from your mustaches. And then the covers, the pencil covers that you can see, and that physical hazard might also be included the soils, how soil might be incorporated in it. In case you are procuring some kind of agriculture produce. Agriculture produce might be include fruits and vegetables or any other crops. For example, the grains. You know, the tuber produce, for example, the potatoes, they are being grown in soils. So soil is automatically and naturally part of all those produce. So whenever you are procuring them, you have to either procure them from a certified supplier that ensures that no hazard becomes the part of the raw material, or you have to handle them carefully, right? Next slide, please. Next is how to prevent physical contaminants. Hair constraints using suitable caps are hair nets. Hair nets are not only used for your head hairs. If in case you have any mustaches or your beard, then also you have to cover them, just to avoid that no part of your hair be the part of your final product. Long sleeves uniform, like you are supposed to wear the full sleeves. You are not supposed to wear the shorts or half sleeves. Wide sleeves, because the hairs on your arms or your other body parts might be the part of your food, or even your sweat or anything like that, or your body cells might be the part of your final product, right? Then it is your jacket pockets. Normally, jackets are not allowed in the production area, but it depends that what kind of produce you are producing, what is your final product, what is the nature of your final product, and likewise, the rules will be stricter and more stricter, right? Normally, jackets are not allowed. In case you are wearing some kind of jackets, then you are not supposed to hold anything in your pockets, right? Like you are whenever you are in your production area, you are not supposed to wear any makeup, jewelry. You must not wear any rings, bracelets, watches, not even earrings that have pendants, necklaces. Even some also avoid to wear some kind of lotions or volatile compounds that might impart any kind of smell or chemicals to your final food, like are the lipsticks and other makeups too. But it depends that at what area of production you are working with. Might be more sensitive areas, like in the production, and that might be less sensitive while you are handling the raw material just. Okay, then it comes the clean environment. How you are supposed to make the environment clean? There are different protocols that you can follow to fulfill that. Your windows must be closed, and there should be heavy curtains, and the air filter curtains should be there, so that no dust and debris or the flying insects could be the part of your environment, of your produce environment. Then are the equipments should be well maintained, right? Like they should not be bruised or damaged, that any of their part come off and become the part of your final produce, right? And their paints should not also come off. And likewise, are there other uh, compartments like the screws? Okay, that should be well maintained. They should not like they must not be rusty. Even if they are rusty, then they could uh, impart some rust into your final product that can deteriorate the quality of your final product. And the final is the avoid the usage of deteriorated utensils. Why you are supposed to avoid the deteriorated utensils? If you are using some kind of decayed and worn off kind of utensils, then their parts might come off time to time, or their paints might come off while using them, or if they might have some kind of cracks and crevices, and those cracks and crevices might work as hotspots for your microbial growth. And then is the ceiling and the walls. Ceiling and the walls should be well maintained. How they could be well maintained means there should not be any kind of cracks, crevices, or holes that could serve as a hotspot for your microorganisms, rodents, flies, insects, or anything like that. They should be properly whitewashed and glazed properly, and there should not be any of the like the cracks or the bruises on it. It should have the smooth surfaces, right? And there should also be no corners, like the pointed corners that are not feasible to clean, right? Your building or your plant out your plant is never supposed to be, have the narrow corners, right? They must have the round corners that are easy to clean. Next, please. Then it comes the chemicals. What kind of chemicals could be incorporated into your final product, or could be the part of your production line? These are the detergents. How come detergents could be the part of your product? Because in production area, for cleaning purpose, you use different kind of detergents and soaps. And those detergents and soaps might be the part of your final product if they are not properly rinsed and cleaned. And second could be the pesticides. How come the pesticide could be the part of your final product? In case you are using some kind of agriculture produce as a raw material, right? Those raw material might be coming from an agriculture background, like from field they are being procured. So agriculture produce normally are being treated with pesticides, fertilizers, and fungicides, and so on. If they are not being given the proper time of the produce that is being treated with pesticide, so its residues might be the part of your final product. So you should try that the agriculture produce that you are procuring should be procured from a certified supplier that assures that none of your raw material is being treated with pesticides, or even if it is treated, it is given the enough time that all of the pesticides residues is being disposed of. Like it should at least have a time period or time lapse of 120 days from the day when it was applied first time, like the pesticides. And then it comes the water. How come the water can impart the chemical hazard to your final product? Normally, the waters are treated with the chlorine. If that chlorine is not properly disposed of, then it might be part of your final product. And likewise, if your water is not being procured from a proper source, it is not a municipal water, that might also contain some kind of agriculture residues, for example, the pesticides, the fertilizers residues, if it is coming from a natural source. And even in some cases, especially in Pakistan, it might contain the industrial waste also. So in this way, your water could be a source of chemical residues to your final products. Then air. How come air could impart any kind of hazard to your final product? If the air is containing any kind of spores, spores and some kind of allergens, and some kind of bacteria, they are very minute and smaller in size. And sometime if your air is passing through any kind of pollutants like the smoke and other pollutants that are in your environment, and your air is being polluted with all those pollutant, then that air is coming in contact with final product, that can also impart some kind of physical chemical hazards to your final product. Next, please. Okay, here is the strategy that how you can prevent the chemical contaminants. First of all is the designate a suitable area away from food to store the detergents. Means all kind of detergents that you are using for cleaning, sanitization, or disinfectant for disinfectation process. You are supposed to store all of those detergents or sanitizers away from your production area, so that it could not be the part of your final product, directly or indirectly. Label the detergents with name and usage. Label them properly so that somebody could not take it for something else, right? If it is not properly labeled, so it could be uh, misused by any person who is not aware of it, that what kind of chemical it is, because that might be take off for some other purpose, right? For I might be supposed that it is having some other it might be misinterpreted for some other chemicals. Okay, then the third is rinse with water, utensils and equipments after using detergents. White vinegar is ideal. Vinegar is how much concentration it's used. It is normally 1 portion is vinegar and 3 portion is water. And for 15 minutes, you have to soak your utensils in it, but it is not, standardized. That varies industry to industry. Okay, after using your chemicals or detergent, you are supposed to rinse all your utensils and equipments with water, so that there could not be any residue of the last product that you have applied on it. Chemical product, I mean to say. Don't mix between food containers and cleaning containers. Okay. Because containers are normally alike. They are very similar to each other. So you might confuse. So you have to keep them or store them separately, your food containers and your cleaning containers. Like the containers that you are using to clean, means you are using to clean your utensils and final equipments, and those containers might contain the residue of detergent, sanitizer and disinfectants, but your food containers are not supposed to have any of those residues, so you must store them separately. Okay, always check the water you are using. Regular check the filtering system. Why you are supposed to check the filtering system regularly? I just said that if your water is not coming from an municipal source or any other authentic source, or it is coming from a natural reservoir, it might contain different kind of chemical, physical hazards, or even biological hazards. So you are supposed to perform water testing periodically, so that your water quality could be evaluated time to time. Then it comes to regular check the ventilation system. Ventilation system is required for proper for checking your air quality and to avoid the accumulation of humidity and to reduce uh, the growth of microorganisms and molds and spores. Cover the food when you are using the pesticides, sanitizer, everything afterward. If you're not covering your food, then indirectly sanitizers, any kind of volatile compound might be spilled on your food, or indirectly might be somehow become the part of your final product. So you are supposed to cover your final product or your raw material while applying all those chemicals. Next, please. Here is the biological hazards. What kind of biological hazards could be the part of your food product? There are different kinds of biological hazards. For example, microorganisms. In microorganisms, it may contain the bacteria, the molds, the yeast, or some parasites also. Okay, first of all, if those parasites are rodents are alive, then they are biological hazard. In case their droppings are their dead parts, body parts are there, for example, of insects, then it will be considered as a physical hazard. Okay, now we are talking about biological hazard. Several insects may transfer food poisoning bacteria to food. Okay, then flies often land on animal feces where they pick up large number of bacteria. So like feces, garbage, or anything like that that attracts uh, flies or microorganisms, that is supposed that should not be accumulated in your production plant, right? And then is in addition, they poop or vomit. For example, you people might have seen black kind of spots on some dirt where flies normally sits on. That is actually the flies vomiting, right? If your hygiene practices are not proper and they are poorly maintained, then it might cause that different kind of parasites and insects might sit on them and can leave their feces or anything else like their vomitings or their droppings. Like are the cockroaches. Cockroaches often live in sewers and they commonly feed on infected waste. And the simple is that the waste should not be accumulated, and your waste should be disposed of time to time and carefully, right? So that none of the hotspot of microorganisms like bacteria and cockroaches and other insects could be found in your plant layout. Next, please. Okay, then it's how to prevent them. We have already almost discussed it. Clean and sanitize the working area. It's obvious that if you are cleaning and sanitizing them, there is nothing that can attract all those microorganisms or insects. For example, they are being attracted by garbage. So if you are not storing them in your facility, they will not be attracted by the garbage, and cleanliness will automatically distract them. And apart from that, pest control program you can also apply to your facility that can help to control them. Clean the unreachable places. What are the unreachable places? For example, the corner, the crevices, and the less visible parts of your premises. As I have already told that it is never recommended that the corners of your plant layout should be pointed. They should be round so that they could be cleaned properly. Maintain walls, ceilings, and floors to be free from holes. That we have already discussed, that your floor, your walls, and your ceilings should not have any cracks and crevices or holes, so that they could not act as hotspots for microorganisms or a cause of insect infestation. Make sure that the grains, the sugars, the flour are free from any sort of pest. Means that your raw material should not containing any pest, like different kind of pests are being witnessed in rice, wheat, flour, and many other things. If they are the part of all those raw material, they will automatically be contaminate your all other products too. Regulate pest control checks. This is very similar to pest control programs. Efficient air curtains on doors. Those air curtains do not allow all the pests and the flying insects to come in your production area. Fly killer machines like the UV machines and the blue light machines that are just to distract insects are used. And the final is to use the cover your food. And covering food is applicable for all of hazards like physical, chemicals, and biological one. Next, please. Final is the microbiological. What is microbiological? We have a microbiological contaminants when we add contaminated raw material or when we have improper handling. Okay, first of all, contaminated materials. What does mean by that? That raw material was already having some kind of bacteria, spores, or anything like that could cause food poisoning or food intoxication. And second is improper handling. How does improper handling makes your food microbiologically contaminated? While you are improperly handling, then cross-contamination could lead to the incorporation of microbiological organisms in your final product. For example, you was handling some kind of raw meat, and normally salmonella are found in